Okay, one quick shopping trip later. So in the middle is the one I just took out of the car. So that is a Mercedes, and I'll put the number up on the description. But the original number was an A008 153 3728. It's written there, but you can't read that on the internet. Very much doubt that's legible. Okay, this one on the right is the one I bought before, which is a GOS EG125, and it's also that Schrader number, the 3H2S0054, and that was supposedly for a 3 litre, an OM642 or an ML350. However, after a bit of internet hunting, I did manage to find this one, which is the GOS EG126, and that is a Schrader 3HT-S0058, not the 54 as before. And lo and behold, first of all, it's the right length. See, that's just about perfect. Secondly, it's got 90-degree bend, not this, maybe, I don't know, 75, maybe 60-degree bend. It's got the crimp exactly the same. It's got the heat protector foil exactly the same. It's got the cable length exactly the same. It's got the same Mercedes grey clip, and just to show you how it's probably the right one, the connector is now identical to the Mercedes one, including the keying, which was where I mentioned before that this keying was the opposite way around. So that connector actually went on that way around, even though the colours were right. So last check, just looking at the colours, and the cable colours identical. Pretty sure that came from the same factory. Even the part number of the connector housings identical. Even that gold dot's identical. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to call that a win, and I'm going to stick that in. Just see if it's got a Mercedes number on it. No. But really weirdly, this has actually been polished here, as though the number's been rubbed off. Even more intriguing. The only thing that is different is clearly this one's a bit more burned, and this nut may be a different material. It's not quite clear. This one feels like stainless. This one feels like stainless, but looks a little like copper. Okay, for the investigation, let's start getting it back together. Okay, here we go. So just put a little bit of copper anti-seize on there. Just try and get that out a bit easier next time. And just made sure that's on the nut and not going to be anywhere near the sensor. Okay, I'll see if I can show you this going in. Now, the tricky bit, trying to get that nut to start. Again, I think I'm going to have to put the camera down. You're not going to see anything anyway. Oh, hang on. You can hear it spinning. Look at that. I think that started. Yep. There we go. So just got to get that cranked up. Get my spanner on it again. Finger tight. That copper slip's definitely helping there. Wow, this is a lot easier than it was to get it out. Okay, it's in. Maybe half a turn to go. Okay, let's get that spanner on and get it tightened up. Okay, so just to tighten that up just a bit better with the ring spanner, I've invented something to help out. And that is a ring spanner with a cut in it. It's actually called a flange spanner if you buy a proper one. This is just one of my, that's the one I bent earlier, cheap $1 spanner with an angle grinder. Let's see how that goes. Should be able to just get that over the top. Of course, trying to do that one-handed is not easy. We'll get there. Okay. And then just like before, down the wire and the bracket onto the nut and just nip that up. I reckon that's JT or FT. I'm going to go JT. Comments down below. Okay. And just get that off there. You know you want to come off. There we go. Okay, let's get those brackets back together now. Okay, so we've got that back together. I did have to get it all undone again and just undo the sensor because it was clashing on this heat shield for the turbo. So you can just see that gap there with my fingers. So I had it a little bit far forward and I just pushed it a little bit further back. I can't remember if it was meant to come up through this gap here at the front or up the side there. It seems quite happy there. I might even bring it through this hole in the bracket once I get everything back together. You can see where the wires sit best. But for now we're going to jump on to fixing up the crankcase ventilation. So now we've got everything out the way there, a lot more room here. So that's where the one screw is, that's where the other one is. Keep everything out the way. Just looking at the two valves. Here's the one I took off the car. So you can see just the shape there and the O-ring. I will oil up that O-ring with a bit of engine oil in a minute and put that back together. The pipe's exactly the same, the fitting's the same. The only difference is this has got my end on it. It's got a number 2614 and it's got a number 2020. So that's the year of manufacture, but otherwise it does look exactly the same. This is a copper heating pipe in case it freezes, which is really not very necessary in Australia, but there you go. So coldest it gets to here in the city is about 1, even if you go up in the hills. I don't think that's going to be free. Okay, so we've got the crankcase ventilator back in, and now we can just put those last few screws on the turbo cover, get the bracket on the end here for holding up the connectors, start getting this back together. We do have to stop to admire this bracket. I mean, I don't know what you call that. What do you call that? Let's have a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've lost count. Maybe 7, maybe 6 individual pressed pieces with 1, 2, 2 nuts and 1 bolt and 2 spacers. I tell you, Binky would be proud of that bracket, not forgetting the spring clip. Okay, so got those connectors done up, got the pressure sensor tightened. Just do this special anti-loose nut, proving really difficult to tighten. Making a right meal of that, aren't I? You know what? I'm just going to get an extension. That is a weird nut. Anyway, she's got it pretty tight, really. Just crimping on those hoses. Okay, so we put these connectors on, clip this one down in the bracket, push this one onto the clip, check the routing of my new sensor wire. Looks like it would love to be clipped to that, but maybe we can just go under that. Okay, we've got the hose on, and we're ready to put the air cleaner back in. Okay, let's put the air cleaner housing in. So we've got those in, push them down, got these holes aligned. Get that one hand tight. This one I just had to pull it to the front a bit. Now I can get the socket on. So that one tight. That one tight. Push this hose on the front. Okay, now we can get the air cleaner in. Let's grab that. Okay, for today I'm not going to clean that up too much. I'm just going to get this back together so I can use the car tonight. Okay, these are the bolts for the air cleaner. And as mentioned, get one in. Maybe get your front one in. And the back one, if you really want to be, I'm just going to have to go and get the Torx, but the back one you really want to be very careful. Okay, because we've got this cover off, I can reach that, but I'll just get the Torx in there and get that started before we jump it around too much. Okay, get that one together. Just hand tight's fine for these. They're only cutting into plastic. You have to excuse the gloves and all the sweat today. It's 32 degrees Celsius outside. Keep me a little warm. Okay, I think we'll put the butterfly on, or the bat wing next. Get that sensor seal in, reseat the seal to the turbo, and then apart from the cover I think we're done. Just put the cover and the grommet and a few air pipes. Good news, there's no spare parts on the floor. Again, just to show you how I do this, I lift it up, get the PCV seal in there just tidy, make sure that that main seal is really on well and really up into the black plastic. Just tuck these in, and they are stiff, so I'm going to have to drop the camera to do that, and then roll it in like that into the top of the engine. Okay, I could tell you that is easier with the air cleaners off, but we got there in the end. So we've got these clips on. There's the air cleaner clips. Got the connectors back together for the mass sensor on that driver side and passenger side, or the left hand side, and also not forgetting the air temperature sensor on that air cleaner. It's all getting a bit gummy there. Unfortunately the engine touches the top of the cover, and that seems to be disintegrating over time, which is what all this horrible black fluff is. Can't do much about that other than taking the cover off completely. Okay, one last thing to do is just tighten up the tightening up the inlet to the turbo, and then I think we'll put all those covers back on before we fire it up. I had this one started, and then of course I grabbed the camera. So when you tighten this Jubilee up, it's best not to do it too tight because it does squish down on that silicone seal. It's got to be reasonably tight, but it's quite easy to over tighten it and damage both the plastic and the silicone. I've changed that silicone about a year ago, so I just do that sort of hand tight and make sure that's firmly on. Okay, so everything back together. I won't put the cover on just yet. We'll give it a run and see what happens with that exhaust temperature. I think I've got everything back on. Let's just do a quick check. So air cleaner's on, it's tightened, air inlet's on, connector for the sensor's on, these are on. Some real weird wiring. It's the ways in this car still. Keeps together the way they've just heaped everything on top of the engine. Okay, turbo seal, wastegate actuator. Good. Let's have a look at the diagnosis and see what's happening on there. Okay, so getting through to the sensor. I've already got the reading up. Just get rid of my light. You can see 26.46. Let's give it a go on the key. Looking pretty good. Just leave that ticking over for the moment. See what it gets up to. Running sweet. Got that temperature thing. Should be around 100 by now. 120. Let's have a look at the upstream, the DPF. Yeah, I get very suspicious with that one. 46 degrees upstream the DPF. That should be like in the hundreds, shouldn't it? Maybe that's the next one to change. Anywho's, let's just go back, back, and back. Just turn the engine off. Read those fault codes. Historic, 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 and historic. Awesome. Okay, and let's clear them. It's not a very one-handed tool, this. And read them again. Nothing. Start it all up again. And read them again. Okay, we'll go back out of that. Go into the general diagnostics. The OBD. Read the codes. No faults. I don't know that. Yeah, this is the OBD data. This won't give me those temperatures, I don't think. There's lots of other info. Put the ambient on there. Put the coolant temperature. There's the codes. And let's check. No codes. Awesome. And no check engine light. Just a change battery on the remote. Pretty happy with that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Go and give it one last view. And just shutting down all those servos. Next time, if we get any faults, we can attack the knock sensors again. But fingers crossed, we can just leave them all alone. Thanks for watching.